Hi, I'm Leslie Boyer, and I got involved in MSIA. I was introduced to JR teachings. In 1972, I got really stoned with my boyfriend and read Manual on Using the Light, and we were like, what just happened? But I was hesitant. I wanted a guru with a turban. So I was like, I don't want to hick from Utah. So I went shopping for a while, but eventually I ended up in a live seminar in Miami in an auditorium. I think it was called An Evening of Good Spirit. It was my first live seminar. And Rama Fox was up there reading poetry to JR. And
What year was that?
that was probably 1970, late 73, maybe early 74. And I was like, these people are nut jobs. And I was sitting at the end of the row like, ugh. And then I turned around and Jerry was standing there and he looked at me and he winked. And a flood came in. It was like, he was saying things on many levels with that wink. Like, I know it's all a show. I know it's all a show. It's just what it is. But also, I know how much you're judging this and I love you anyway. And the next day I had my light study with him and my whole life changed. So I've been involved ever since then.
Wow. So we're going to segue. Tell us about your first experience with these discourses. Talk about a little bit about it.
This is discourse number 1. I got the mimeograph discourses in 1973 or 1974. These were mimeographed, I believe, from the school where JR taught. And so that's what my home reading discourse was.
So 1 is the manual using the light, and so you have 11 there. That's control, right?
Yeah.
So the 11 one.
Well, that's 11, and then this is all year 1. I have year 2 like this, and they're all yellow.
Wow.
Different color, but yeah, this is, and I reread these. I'm reading them now, so they're a lifeline for me.
So let's segue into, you and I were here in beautiful Santa Barbara, and talk to us about the 4th dimension flow with abundance.
Okay, so for me, this is an area that has me so excited, and I'm in such a process of discovery with it. I was someone who for years was really good at making things happen in my life. I worked with David Allen. I was all about creating outcomes for every year. At the beginning of the year, I'd have my outcome. I'd break my life into 4 areas. I'd have goals. And every month I'd review that. I'd have my monthly goals. Every week I'd do my weekly review. I'd pull from that my weekly goals. And I was freaking awesome at manifesting in my life. But there was a certain point where that stopped working for me. Whatever I was envisioning, I was hitting a wall. And I realized it happened over a period of about a year. I couldn't create my life from that place anymore. And I was like, well, I'm co-creating with God. And now I look back, I go, that was bullshit. Yes, there was God, but I was making stuff happen. And I had to let go and say, okay, God, I really surrender my life to you. And I have to let go of all the things that have worked, not all the things, but many of the things that have worked for me. And I need to be in discovery about how to be in the flow of creation. And personally, I'm one of those people that I grew up in affluence. I inherited money, I did this and that, but I wasn't really good at managing my money. And I made some bad decisions and some things happened and downturns in the market. And eventually I ended up with very little. And I knew I wasn't good at managing money. I didn't have the brain for that. And when everything kind of disappeared for the better part of that, I started going, so I want to create, but I can't do it the way I have. Money is an area that's been a challenge for me. So what if I'm able to use my relationship with money as a springboard into what JR called health, wealth, and happiness, but abundance and those things, not as a concept, but as a living principle and reality of spirit as it flows through our lives. So I started looking at what is the source of money? You know, money is energy, but what does that mean? And going to the source of the energy behind money and moving into that flow in such high cooperation and surrender that it like opens everything up. So one of the things I've been doing is I do use like an ideal scene and the desire prescription. I have some of those things, but mostly what's written in there is about being in the flow of life and abundance. And what's been happening is that as I do that, it opens up my consciousness. And I have found myself moving out of the time-space continuum, stepping above it into what you describe as like the fourth dimension, because things are created differently in the fourth dimension than they are. Things in the time-space, the third dimension, are created almost sequentially. There's like a stream, that there's a movement that happens. Whereas in the fourth dimension, it's all happening more now. And so I've been practicing going into that consciousness and traversing the time space and moving through time in my consciousness. And I had this amazingly wonderful experience not long ago where I was working with the consciousness of abundance and flow and wealth and the expansiveness of that, not about money, but about the abundance of everything around me and the gratitude and all of a sudden I popped out and I was moved forward in time to the future. I don't know when. But I was looking back at me now, and I was seeing that now is my past. And as I look back from the future to me, I see everything that has been given to me. Even if it's not specifically, it's like more energetically, everything that's been given to me and how my whole life is set up to unfold perfectly. So instead of saying I will have or I'd like to experience, I'm giving gratitude for the experience I'm having then that's also the result of now. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's this interesting, it's a different way of looking at flow. And what started happening shortly after this is that people started giving me money, and money started showing up. And like with the COVID and unemployment and all this, there are these loans. And I was so busy focusing on the Global Insight One when one of the loans became available. I'm like, I need a loan. I heard, keep doing what you're doing, you'll be taken care of. And the short story is that after researching a lot and all these banks were tapped out on loans, I got a call from a banker who said, I hear you're looking for a loan. We need to get you approved today because we'll be out of money by tomorrow. And he held my hand and I was like, that's my future that I saw that's happening now. So I don't know if I'm describing it very well because it's hard to describe these experiences within the framework of the finiteness of this dimension.
Well, one thing I heard is you listened.
Yes.
To the thing of saying it's surrendering and listening, which I want to segue into what you said about the survivors. It's like when you give up that path, the past, then you surrender to that thing, that inner voice that says, I got you. Relax. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, David Bransky and I had a wonderful phone call yesterday or the day before, and he was telling me about this book. I think I can't remember right now off the top of my head. I think it's called Who Will Survive? And it's this guy who studied survivors of disasters like a plane crash, an avalanche, and he identified different behaviors that these people did, the ones who survived, and then other people died. And one of the things he said that differentiates the survivors is that they let go of any past reference points about how it should be. They let go of the past, they come fully present into what's now, and that opens them up to seeing possibility that the past in that mindset would have prevented them from seeing. And I am loving COVID because for me, I have to let go of all my past reference points for what reality is, how money gets made, how I'm going to get income, where I'm going to live, all of that, to go, what's the opportunity now? What have I never seen before that I'm now able to see because I'm looking through fresh eyes? I'm not looking through, and it's not like changing a paradigm. It's different than that. It's a change of consciousness into coming present and being open and curious. I keep saying to people through this whole time, people are like, oh, so many bad things are happening. I'm going, I'm just so curious. I just wonder where this is going to lead. And I'm also finding new ideas and new opportunities are coming forward that I would have never been open to in the past, because I'm like, it's a new world every day. And what was true yesterday may not be true today, and it may not be true tomorrow, but it may be true the day after that. I don't know. It may circle around. So for me, it's and I don't think of myself like as a survivor per se, but I was sharing with you earlier, I'm so excited to be alive right now.
No, I think we can all say we're in the some kind of something in which we are survivors, and some people aren't going to make it, and some people are going to make it, and that's why I wanted to do these videos, because it gets us involved.
Yeah.
How can we work out? How do we work? I've drove to Santa Barbara, feel the different energy. So how can we transmute that and translate that on the videos for others to be touched by it? Obviously through the traveler energy.
Yeah. And I think I think I've heard this before, but it has new meaning for me. Being uncomfortable in the not knowing. I have to let go of what I think I know, or what I think the truth is, or what I believe. It's all it is what is my experience and what's present now. And I do get really strong inner guidance, and it's too difficult anymore to ignore it. It's too painful to ignore it. But I pay attention. I pay attention when that comes in, and it's weird for me. It's like a clear verbal direction. Usually, it's like, don't do that or do this, or like when my life was in a major, when I was looking at, moving out of where I live because it was too expensive and my income had dropped significantly, and I was so afraid of letting go. And one day it just came in, let go and move on. And that, since that day, has been the direction I'm following still. Anything I find myself attached to, it's like that holds me to the past. So let go and move on. And I just experience so much spirit and beauty. That's it. It's the beauty in this, the beauty of the orchestration, the beauty of the perfection. I just get taken to my knees when I start focusing on the beauty in the people, the beauty.
So, is there anything you want to tell JR? That's how I always end.
Thank you for all you've given me. And thank you for supporting me in serving your people.
Thank you, Leslie, and continue on with Insight. It's doing great. And what's the next things that are going in Insight? So we can.
Well, it's funny we're having this conversation tomorrow. We're doing a hotline to your inner knowing
That's,
with Rachel, Jane, and myself.
June
tomorrow.
5th.
June 6th. Today's
June
the 5th. So for 3 consecutive Saturdays, we're going to work with trusting your inner knowing and following in and how to recognize it.
Tune in. Love you. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Zeus.